Bionicle 2 Legends of Metru Nui was released in 2004 and is once again directed by David Mondlina and Terry Shakespeare. It tells the story of a bunch of heroes. They have to find the Mask of Light and stop a bad guy. Okay, so Bionicle 2. I last week reviewed the first Bionicle film as it was requested by the W. He requested me to do the three Bionicle movies, the trilogy. So, my thoughts on the first film, if you've seen my review, you probably know my thoughts, but if you haven't, well, I'll give my brief thoughts. It was an okay movie. It's not a horrible film, but I just didn't think it was very good. The sequel, however, is even worse. Oh boy, it's not bad or anything, it's not awful, it's not a horrible movie, it is a very mediocre film, and I did not like it. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it one bit, if I'm being honest. The story was just dull. Yeah, it was I'm sorry, I have to be honest. The story, it was dull. It was just really, it was bland. It felt tired. It had a very tired feeling. It wasn't a very interesting movie. It's just not, the story is just, it's poor. It's just poorly told. It's poorly written. It's not engaging. I just don't think it's a very interesting film. Like I said, the story, it's just boring. It's forgettable. It's not, it's just really, just, it's just not good. I can't really say that enough, but it just has a boring story. It's a bore fest. It's boring. It's really, really boring. But is it horrible? No, it's just so meh. It's mediocre at best. The animation is decent enough for the time and budget. The characters are they're just forgettable. They're really uninteresting. I'm struggling to really remember them. The main villain is awful. Pure and simple, the main villain is awful. He is a bland character. He is bland as paper. The soundtrack is just also forgettable. It's just kind of boring, plain. I don't hate this movie. I know I gave it a lot of negatives, but I don't really have that much positive to say other than the animation's fine, but it's just not a very good movie, and I was bored. It bored me. I didn't find it interesting. Now, I did watch it with an open mind. I kept my mind open when I was about to watch it, and when I did watch it, the film just bored me. It didn't get better. It's just not for me. I think that's kind of the problem. It's not a bad movie. It's very mediocre in my opinion, but it's not my kind of movie. It's not my cup of tea. So overall, Bionicle 2 may not be a bad movie, but I just don't think it's very good. It's just so much worse than the first one. Well, I wouldn't say so much worse, but it's just not very interesting. The story is bland, the characters are bland, the villain is awful, the soundtrack is meh, and the animation is decent enough for the time. I'm going to give Bionicle 2 Legends of Metru Nui a 5 out of 10. And also, I don't understand, this is supposed to be a prequel to the first movie. Why is it called Bionicle 2? It would make much more sense if they just called it Bionicle Legends of Metru Nui. Again, if you're going to call it 2, people are going to think it's a sequel. I know it's the second movie, but I mean, it's a prequel. It should be called Bionicle Legends of Metru Nui. But yeah, that's my review. I will get to the third movie next week, hopefully. And stay tuned for my next review, which is going to be on Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. And thank you again for the request, W. I'm really sorry I didn't like it. I have to be honest, but if you guys like these movies, that's fine. That's awesome. But for me, they just don't do it for me. Hopefully the third movie will be better. I will get to that next week, and my expectations for it are, well, they're not very high or low either, but I'll just be open-minded and see how it goes. So yeah, stay tuned for that, and until then guys, skadoosh everyone, and take care.